hello to all of you from the fourth We Talk at FİBA CP meetings, which we started in June last year. Today, we are together with two very important names of the European retail industry. Yurdaer Kahraman, CEO and board member of FİBA CP, who is also our host in this talk, and the important name of the European retail industry, Mr. Klaus Striebich'i. Hello, welcome.
Günaydın, merhaba.
Very good.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome.
Well, we would like to begin this chat. It's more of a chat than a formal discussion with a very simple question. Mr. Klaus Striebich'i, the first one is for you. How did you meet Mr. Yurdaer, and how did this meeting turn into such a great collaboration?
That's a very nice question, and we have to go back for a very long time, because when Yurdaer started his, I would say, career in the shopping center industry, we have been colleagues within our times at ECE, which is now quite a while ago. And it was always funny to work with him because he was, on the one hand, the center manager at the beginning, then he moved up to a director and to the international colleague. And we had a lot of opportunities to work together in several countries. And we have been friends meanwhile. Is it correct, Yurdaer?
Exactly.
To have a friend like you. So fantastic.
That's true. And I'm very happy to hear this. And I'm also very glad to emphasize that Klaus really, supported not only me, but also other colleagues, above all in challenging times. And we really, had above all in challenging cases of challenging times, crisis, micro crisis in different countries, the Lehman crisis worldwide in 2009, as you remember. But he never gave up. He always protected us as a board member, and he was with us. He never let us alone, and he always were with us, even we were in different countries. And, but it's very important to feel that. And this is something what I also try to give to my colleagues and employees as much as I can. And this is one of the main points I still have in my repertoire when I think about Klaus Striebich'i, beside his unbelievable knowledge in the retail industry, not only Europe, but worldwide.
Well, what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. And actually, can we continue with Yurdaer, Mr. Kahraman? Yes. We would like to get your opinions on the current situation of the retail sector in the countries where we operate. Could you share a bit more on that?
Yes, definitely. We have suffered a lot in 2020, while all the statespersons in the world said that we have a huge crisis after the Second World War. That was an explanation where people stopped. And that was a point where nobody knew in which direction we are running. But after seeing that, we have also learned to live with this pandemic, and we are now, somehow, let's say, better prepared for future outcomes and challenges. But in general, when we are opening, even if these are high streets, shopping malls, retail centers, the people are coming back. And the people, human being is not staying at home. Human being wants to be, socialized. Human being wants to be outside, wants to be in movements. And we have seen that, for example, in different countries, we have already the same numbers as 2019, before pandemic, for example. Different countries like China, for example, now, unfortunately, the second huge lockdown, where markets were also somehow more closed than the first lockdown, affected us very much, because starting the engine and then stop again and then restart again, I mean, that brings different challenges and also in different fields and different sectors as well. So we can say that when we are open and when we are again in business, then we see that the numbers of frequency, numbers of turnovers, numbers of growth are increasing. Same time, we see new developments like omnichannel, and we do see developments in different part of the sectors as well. And we see also challenges. I mean, challenges of sectors and areas which are today out of fashion, let's say, and which are suffering a lot because there are supply problems and the increasingly demand of shoppers in terms of digital experience has increased as well. And so I do think that in the different global countries where we are doing our business, that it depends also on the product. I mean, on the product, on the location, on the competition as well, and how we are behaving in terms of preparations and of taking the challenges.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very, very interesting recap. If we turned to you, Mr. Striebich, what is your opinion of the situation in the European retail sector? And how would you evaluate the market in the countries where we operate from that point of view?
Thanks for the question. Let me try to answer it in a more general basis. So my personal view on that is that retail has now stepped into a new level of retailing, let's call it like that. Going back many decades or centuries, it has started with classical supply. So retail was responsible for supplying the people with the goods and needs they want to have. Then we have seen the first marketplaces where you have seen the goods and you have done a kind of lingering where you strolled by the stands and you have seen several goods and you try to buy some things. Around, let's say, 50 years ago, we have seen the third level of retailing, which is then an additional inspiration which has to be offered to the customer, because we know every product, we have received everything, we know what to buy, and our warehouse, our internal warehouse has been filled up. There was no wardrobe with any, let's say, empties or whatever it was. And now, in addition to all these, supply, lingering, and getting inspiration is a 24/7 approach. So the biggest change in retail is that we have a shift from product to customer. So in the past, it was the case that everybody was seeking a product or has the need for a product or any wish or desire. And now the customer is the beginning of the chain, how retail has to react. He's the one who say, okay, maybe I need something, maybe I have just a wish, maybe I don't know at the moment what I want. I just know that I want something. And it is the biggest challenge of the retail at the moment. And it's the case that customer says, okay, it's me who are steering the retailing, because whenever, whatever, however I want something, I will give this information to the retailer and he has to fulfill these needs. So it's a huge chain also in the customer's, let's say, desire. So in the past, it was just what they needed. Now they buy what they want. In the past, it was the case, I buy something what uses me, and today or tomorrow, I buy something as a customer what pleases me. And maybe the third thing is, in the past, I bought the value of a good. So I bought bread, I bought a piece of clothes, I bought a chair, whatever it was. Now we customers are seeking more real values, means it's not the thing we have to touch. Maybe it's a thing we have then in mind, or that we have the feeling that is of value for us. And that's the biggest challenge. So in general, in Europe, of course, we are faced with many complex environmental things. We have laws, we have regulations, we have supply difficulties. We have many things that people want to have at the same time in their wardrobe or on their desk. And we have a huge number of different countries with different, I would say, challenges for the retailers, because we have the language, we have the customer behavior. A simple example, kids fashion is fantastically sold in the South European area. If you go more to the north of Europe, especially in my country, Germany, nobody buys real huge package of kids clothes. So here we have a second hand market for the kids clothes, and you in the South European area, you are proud to buy new stuff for your kids, which is somewhat obvious. A little thing. Same with food. In some countries, we have the ability that people just want to buy cheap food. The cheaper, the better. And in other countries, we have a clear level of, let's say, high-level food. So if I look into my neighbor country, Switzerland, how they treat food and how they manage that and how they sell it on the retail side, that's a huge difference. Funny-wise, if you ask American guys how they see Europe, they say it is one country, it's one area. We have to explain them that we have at the moment in Europe, I would say 30 or more different areas or countries where you have to sell differently. And this is the market. The good thing, we are on a good level. We're on a high level on the one hand, which is the challenge that we should improve that level in the next few years as well. On the other side, it's the case that we have different complexities we have to manage and operate. So still a huge workload to be done.
Well, thank you. That was very interesting. You've already started to kind of touch on this, but could you give us a little bit more information about how trends have changed in the retail industry after COVID?
Klaus, please.
Okay, so yes, I think we have some trends which have improved due to COVID. One simple advantage is safety, security, health. For sure, now we have a total different view on that. In the past, we have known that we need to have a healthy life, but now we are much more cautious, and we are seeking security and health and safetyness when we do shop or when we buy something. The second thing is maybe people had a lot of time due to the, let's say, quarantines, whatever it was, to think about their shopping behavior. Maybe it's that also more conscious and think about sustainability. So now many people in the world are thinking about sustainability, what is needed to keep the environment healthy, that we know that we are still able to buy and to live in a proper environment in due time. And so we buy much more conscious. So whether it's food, whether it's the clothes or the fashion industry, or how often we go by. So maybe there's a shift that we buy much more qualified products and qualified offers than just these one-hit wonders where we buy, use it one time, and then we throw it away. Last thing is maybe this thing of, let's say, globalization or connectivity or travels. Of course, due to the restrictions, we had not the chance to travel around the world any longer. So we are a bit more, let's say, local. So locality is one of the trends which have improved tremendously, which is good. On the one hand, it's a little bit, it brings also safety because of the delivery chains, but to refocus on local products, on locality, I think that's a key trend from my point of view.
Thank you very much.
Maybe,
would you like to add to that?
Yeah, thank you. Hello. I mean, what we have seen, for example, that above all, I mean, different segments like sports, fashion, sport, and shoe sector did increase within high levels. And we have seen that also the luxury segment has a different, achieved a different point there in this development. As well, we see some unique brandings as well on the other hand, what is always, when we talk with Klaus, for example, about the global development of retail and the last status, we know very well that, for example, in China, where we are active as well, online is very, very intensive and is very much present. And people are buying, for example, on the Black Friday, almost $30-40 billion. That's just in 1-2 days. But on the other hand, the stationary retail is not decreasing that much, for example. It goes somehow parallel because, as you also know, while COVID, the online sector also went to some borders in terms of the supply chain. And today they are also thinking about working as in areas or in regions, because just working from Asia or from different parts of the world doesn't satisfy the customers. And we see today still is ongoing that the return rates are very, very high. But there are some segments are changing, and the people are changing, as Klaus said. People are recognizing their needs. People are seeing what is really sustainable. And I do think that specialty and unique stores and concepts who can stay also in their niche, for example, and goes to the next level of loyalty towards customers will be very important. We see that as FİBA Commercial Properties and also as FİBA Commercial Property Management with our teams when we manage our centers in Eastern Europe, China, and Turkey. And when we prepare, and we started to prepare also, the future by investing into 2021 into our assets. And today we are very happy seeing that we are almost 99% leased. All this asset and shopping malls. And I do think that this is a huge challenge. To know the product, to know the location, and to know the development of retail and of the different sectors is very important. And just another example is, for example, the part of groceries. In some countries, you need to stay relevant because of the demand of the shoppers to increasingly, digital experience that requires, for example, new levels of connectivity, for example, between the supply chain and the store experience. These are things like, you need to be very close to the customer, closer than before. Things are changing so quick. People are telling we are talking today about retail in metaverse, for example. Yeah, the Generation Z. These are topics where Klaus, as chairman of the advisory board in the Cross magazine, is having almost, upcoming talks and conversation on this. And in the past, people were not that much quickly changing their minds or habits, let's say. Today, you can win in a very fast manner, but on the other hand, you can also lose in a very fast manner. And I think we need to prepare the people behind that. We need to prepare the managers and the retailers and to understand this very well. That's one point where we, for example, focus on very much on education. Education on our people, on our employees in our company. There is no employee without any, education. And it is focused. Education means focus, on what makes sense. Focus for center manager, for leasing manager, development manager, retail manager, marketing manager. We're not giving the flowers the same water, and we need to be prepared. And I think this is a very important issue. And the retail sector, the real estate sector must educate the people for the future. And I think this is something we need to have a focus on it.
Thank you very much. And you've segued beautifully into my next question. Thank you very much. I'd actually like to put this to both of you, please. Where do you think the future, we've talked quite a bit about the current situation, but where do you think the future of the retail industry evolves? Maybe we could begin with Mr. Striebich.
Yeah, super. First of all, I think there is a bright future for retail. But first of all, you have to have in mind that retail is not just opening a store or operating a store. So retail is much, much more in the meantime, which makes it a little bit more complex to handle. And therefore, it's not a simple business any longer, which I have to mention. To simplify it, so for me, it is that a retailer, not only retail store, a retailer has to focus on the one hand on the customer, full orientation on the customer, on the other side on the technical or I would say the systems he has to use to make that happen. It's not the case that every retailer has just to work on, let's say, technical issues or technical gadgets, but they have to use it and to make these things happen. If a retailer only uses technical issues, then he's a kind of a nerd. If a retailer, a salesman is just focusing on a customer, he's a kind of a retailer doing on a day-to-day business. The combination will lead to a kind of outperforming. So the question is, how will you sell in the future as a retailer? On the one hand, you have to focus on the digital or technical side, which is then, let's say, the takeaway business, the online business, which is somewhat okay. On the other side, you need to show up your competence in providing the goods, in providing service, in informing the people. So this kind of competence is extremely important. You need experts. You need fashionistas. You need absolutely, I would say, people who are on fire for retail. And at the very end, if you combine it, it's a kind of seduction, because you seduce people to use the technical issues, your smart device to shop, if needed. On the other side, it's the competence that you steer the people going to the shop. And this altogether leads to, let's say, a real complex situation paired with the problem, call it problem of speed, of a global information basis, a transparency which is never seen before, and a kind of complexity which is really difficult to handle. But that makes it interesting for the future. So it's by far not boring, and it will lead to, let's say, fulfilling of the needs and desires of the people. And it leads, what you're doing, it leads to a smile on the face of a customer. And that's the target.
Wonderful. Yes, yeah. It's very exciting. And would you have anything to add yourself, Yurdaer?
Thanks, Klaus. What should I add? But I believe in retail. So that's what I would like to emphasize. And as we said beforehand, that in different countries, different products are more, for example, interesting than in others. We will see that the speed, as Klaus said, is very important. The quality will be very important. The design will be very important. The people, the loyalty will be very important as well. And still, the experience is very important. What are we offering? It's not only, as we said, just coming to shop some trousers or, some groceries and then leaving the mall or the retail area. It's also, what are we doing in terms of edutainment, for example, what we did in China, where we are combining entertainment and education to keep the families and people more on the malls, what we also took over to different parts of the world. And how are retailers behaving in terms of the margins, which are becoming more tight and tough. And today's inflation, in some countries, inflation will be, regulate itself. In other countries will be more challenging when you see also the growth of retail. The worldwide growth of retail is like, 2023 till 26, like 4 to 6%, for example. And when you have 7-8%, let's say the overall, looking to the Western Europe countries, inflation, then you need to see as well the margins. You need to be very present. You need to be very flexible. you need to have concepts which are sustainable, but also for us as real estate developers and investors is very important to have flexible models and to react immediately towards the market situations, because we cannot just offer, only some big boxes and then, to reconvert them or renovate them in a different kind of a real estate product. That needs to be always in the beginning in the strategy as well. So that's a big task also for the architects. Sustainability, always what Klaus is saying regarding new trends like sustainability to save the world is also important. I mean, people are looking to this more and more. And are we working with photovoltaic, what kind of electricity we are using, and what kind of sustainable products we are using in our molds or in our real estate products. And nevertheless, make it very simple. When I go somewhere and would like to shop something, I'm very much looking how the people are taking care when a customer is coming into a store. Do they know my need? I mean, when I go to a store, like I am with a tie and suit like this, I think it's more difficult to sell, some, sports trousers or whatever, shorts or sportive stuff to me, for example. Then you need to know your customer. You need to be, to keep them loyal as much as you can, and be with the customer. The customers are also changing, Your customer will not stay the same as well. This sounds a bit simple to our ears, but it's not. This is very important. And I think that's a huge challenge, to combine all of this and speed. There I'm very much with Klaus. Speed will be very important to react quick and to be quicker than others. And there are two items how you can stay in the competition. First, you are innovative. You are an innovator. You are innovative, or you are copying. If you're doing both, you can stay in the market. If not, you are out of the market.
Well, thank you. You've provided a fascinating insight into the past, the present, and the future of the retail industry, both in the countries where we operate and globally. So I'd like to open the floor to both of you now. Is there anything that you personally finally would like to add? Maybe we could start with Mr. Striebich again.
Yeah, super. On the one hand, I think if retail or I start with another one. I said many people define retail as a word. So we have retail, which on the one hand means maybe it's again a tale and a long story that has to be followed up. On the other side, people say retail comes from the French language and means retailler, or in English, reshaping. So that is a very nice, let's say, explanation how retail is looking like. So it has always been reshaped, and it will be shaped also in the future, wherever, whatever, however. So on the other side, retail has a big job to do, which is they have to touch our soul and heart. And if retail is touching the customer's soul and heart, and if retail is able to touch the 5 senses we are using, and this is a big, I would say, advantage compared to online business, because they have only the chance to touch 2 senses. So if retail is touching 5 senses in the near future with their offers, with their services, with their ideas, with their wow me effects or with their surprising effects, then it will be a bright future. And that's fantastic to see.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And Yurdaer, what would you like to add?
Well, first of all, we have more seen that we can do things, from different parts of the world. Just today, I'm sitting here in Bucharest, and you're in Turkey. Sevil Hanım, Klaus is in Germany, and this shows also that we have a good overview on the global perspective. First of all, we need to see what is happening in the world. We need to see the trends, and we need to see other countries, other regions in the world. I think this is very fundamental. And out of this, we need to, for example, attract, different solutions as well. And these can be, smarter solutions or, time-wise, mid and long-term solutions as well. Whereas we see also, startups, for example, coming very intensively to markets as well. So also short-term solutions. So I do think that we need to be always in movements. We need to be always visible. We need to see all the facts in the world. And we need to see the micro and macro part. Countries are different, and China is different, and Germany is different. The demographic structure is different. US is different, and the numbers, the macro numbers, micro numbers are different in different parts of the world. We need to be so quick in adapting, in finding solutions, in setting up strategies that will be more than in the past. And this will be not easy for the upcoming generation and the new generation. It's not like only saying, I'm not a friend of, talking about, yes, omni-channel and metaverse online, like, how should be now retailing, stationary retail, I cannot walk on two hands. Okay, this I will never do because I never experienced that. I will maybe fall down immediately. But one is for sure, we need to, deepen ourselves into the main topics as well, and also to the minor topics. If we don't do this, and if we have, a cut of top management to middle and lower management, then we will really have big problems, not challenges. These are the real problems. In general, I do not like to talk about this wording problem because I do see always challenges. But we need to have also people preparing into this direction, educating people into this direction. And there, maybe my last word to this or sentence, with our university in Istanbul, the Özyeğin University, which is one of the main universities, not only in Turkey, but also globally, we are having different programs in educating people in terms of retailing as well as in terms of real estate developments. And our biggest advantage is that we have also in our group, in our FİBA group, not only real estate, but also the finance sector in terms of banks and insurances, as well as retailing like Marks and Spencer, Gap, as the master franchisee, for example, for Turkey. So I do think we need to be more than ever up to date, and we need to really move and see the world and the developments. And for this, I'm very open, and I'm supporting this. And we should, with that experience, I think, well prepared for the future retail.
Well, thank you so much to both of you. I certainly learned a lot. It's very interesting. And thank you for taking the time to chat with us. And I very much look forward to the fifth talk in the near future. Take care. Thank you so much.
Teşekkürler. All the best and see you soon in Istanbul.
I hope so.
Thank you very much, Sevil Hanım. Thank you very much, Klaus. It was a great pleasure being with you all together. Thank you.